I wore makeup to cover up my bruises because I always had black eyes. I always had some marks on my neck. I always had a scratch or something on my face. I even had to use it in the décolleté area on my arms. So that was what makeup was for me. I went from loving it as an option to wearing it as a necessity. I couldn't leave my house without it.
Welcome to the Friends in Beauty podcast, a safe space for ambitious beauty industry creatives to have real talk, get real answers, and practical tools to grow their businesses. My name is Schenika Robinson, and I'm a makeup artist, beauty educator, and the creator of Friends in Beauty. I created Friends in Beauty to support like-minded creatives just like you on their quest to connect, network, and build genuine relationships within the beauty community. Join me every week as me and my special guests reveal the keys to success and longevity in the beauty industry, and most importantly, have fun while doing it. You ready? Hey, what's up? It's your best friend in beauty, Schenika Robinson. Welcome back to another episode of the Friends in Beauty podcast. I am so happy to have you here, and I hope you're listening to this episode in high spirits and in good health. If you are a friend in beauty, I welcome you to join the Friends in Beauty Facebook community. If you're looking for a community of like-minded, ambitious friends in beauty to virtually connect with, network, and share resources, then click the link down below in the show description to join us in the Facebook community, and I'll be there to welcome you with open arms. Also, let's get social. Follow Friends in Beauty on all social media platforms at Friends in Beauty. Additionally, the Friends in Beauty podcast is available on several platforms. We're on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google, YouTube, you name it, we are there. And whatever platform you are listening from right now, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning into the Friends in Beauty podcast. I appreciate it more than you know. And I would love it even further if you took the time to leave a 5-star rating, a review, a like, a comment, a share, a subscribe, or something to let me know how you feel about the Friends in Beauty podcast. Additionally, Friends in Beauty is now on Patreon. So for as little as $3 a month, you can support the Friends in Beauty podcast. And there are also several tiers available that unlock Patreon exclusive content just for you, like behind the scene content of the Friends in Beauty podcast, bonus interview clips, a monthly Ask Me Anything, discounts, and so much more. So if that's something that you're interested in, I'll leave the link down below in the show description for that as well. Also, if you'd like to stay connected even further, join the Friends in Beauty mailing list tribe. They are the first to know about all things Friends in Beauty, and I send out different resources and tips throughout the week. So if that's something that you're interested in, join us over there. And last but not least, listen up. The most important thing is to share the Friends in Beauty podcast with your other friends in beauty, your family, your friends, anybody that you think could benefit from the information that is being shared. Share away to help me grow the Friends in Beauty community. Now, on this episode of the Friends in Beauty podcast, I welcome Schenika Quattlebaum to the Friends in Beauty guest chair. Schenika is the founder and proprietor of the global independent beauty brand, Natalia Me-gan Beauty. A determined domestic violence survivor and advocate, Schenika took her courage in hand and made a huge leap of faith when she started her company in August 2018. Following her dreams and rising above all hardships have produced fabulous dividends for Schenika, whose growing line of beauty products is now available at mega retailer Walmart's online store. To date, Schenika has been featured on Fox 5 DC, Good Day Philly, Essence Magazine, BET.com, and many more. This past March, Schenika was an award recipient of the She Is Awards presented by Radio 1 Urban One, where she was given the She Is Monumental Award. One of the biggest honors to date, Schenika was featured in the July 2022 issue of Entrepreneur's Herald magazine as one of the top 30 women entrepreneurs to take inspiration from in 2022. What a phenomenal woman. I must tell you, I had such a great time chatting with Schenika, and I'm so grateful to her for being so open and sharing her story with us. In this interview, Schenika shares her relationship with beauty prior to launching Natalia Me-gan Beauty, how her past abusive relationship brought her to this present moment, the process for launching Natalia Me-gan Beauty, the inside scoop on what goes into product development, how her brand landed on Walmart online, and what goes into such a monumental decision, some exciting news for what's next for her and her brand, and so many transformational gems in between. Schenika has learned that there is so much power in sharing your story, and she continues to empower domestic violence survivors globally. If you or anyone that you know have been in an abusive relationship, send them this interview so that they know that they can survive the situation that they are in. Let's go ahead and jump into this chat with Schenika. And if you prefer to watch our beautiful faces, then tune in on YouTube. Enjoy. Welcome to the Friends in Beauty podcast, Schenika.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. I'm so excited to chat with you. When I learned that you were in the DMV area, I was like, oh yes, I definitely got to chat with her because I'm a DMV girl too. I'm from DC. So I was like, yeah, I got to talk to her. But before we jump into the interview, I'd love to start off with some icebreaker questions to get us warmed up so the Friends in Beauty audience can get to know you outside of beauty.
All right.
So, first one, just give us 3 random facts about you.
3 random facts about me. I'm really goofy. I am really into the ID channel and shows like Snap. Yeah, I'm really into those. And the third thing that people may not realize is that I'm a grandma.
Do they call you grandma?
She does.
Okay.
She does.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I was just talking to somebody else about that. I think last week I was like, because we got the G mods out here, the glam mods.
The glam mods.
Ain't no more nanas anymore. Like, yeah. I love
it. She does. She calls me grandma.
Yes, I love stuff like, I like true crime, unfortunately, because I feel sometimes I feel bad for liking true crime because I'm like, this is like real stuff that's happening to people, but it's still so intriguing to me.
Exactly.
I feel bad sometimes about it, but it's life.
That it is.
Yeah. Do you have any pet peeves?
Wasting time.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my biggest pet peeves. Don't waste my time.
Okay. Don't waste her time. Y'all here. Okay?
Don't waste my time.
So I have these pod decks that have these random questions in them. This is a would you rather, and this is a what the heck. Which one?
Okay. Would I rather?
Would you rather? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see what they're gonna give you today, because sometimes things be a little bit weird.
Ooh, okay, I'm playing. Look, I'm taking a leap on the wild side.
That's weird. Oh gosh. This is like neither for me because I hate both of these things. Would you rather be covered in bees or spiders?
Neither.
Right. I'm like, I can't. Let's do another one because
I'm allergic to bees and I absolutely hate spiders. So
these things are crazy. I don't know who comes up with these things. Okay. Would you rather work with dead people in a mortuary or work in the busiest ER trauma unit in the world?
Mortuary.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. Like, at least they're not,
Yeah. Give me the mortuary.
Yeah, I told you they be weird questions. Okay. What do people always tell you that you're good at aside from what you do professionally?
Listening.
I'm
very good at listening to people, which is why everyone vents. But I didn't realize that in being a good ear for people, it kind of wears me out.
Yeah.
Because I'm taking on everyone's problems, everyone's issues, and I'm drained at times after phone calls or meet and greets.
Gotta decompress afterwards.
Yeah, but I'm really good at listening.
Yeah, I totally get that. People call me with their challenges and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm at the point now where I just pick and choose, like, if I'm going to answer the phone or not. Like,
that's me.
If I have
but then they'll text you.
If I have the energy to take it on, then I'll take it on. But if not, then I've learned how to kind of like protect my energy in that way.
Exactly.
What's the worst job that you've ever had?
The worst job I've ever had was my first job in fast food. I lasted 3 days. I don't even think it was 3 days, actually. It may have been like 2 and it was awful. And then it made me not want to eat at that establishment anymore.
Okay. Dang.
And to this day, let's see, 30, well, not quite 28, 27, 28 years later, I still have not eaten at that place.
You want to tell us what it is?
I'm not gonna look. With social media, there'd be a whole campaign against it. But I will say, working in fast food, it's an eye opener.
Put a bad taste in your mouth, huh? I didn't work at fast food, but I used to work at Whole Foods, and I used to work at Harris Teeter at one point. And after that, I told myself, I'm never working around food ever again.
Because you don't want to eat.
Because you don't want to eat. And then I found myself like, you just always like kind of like munching, like picking that stuff, and then you gain weight, and I'm like, I can't do it.
Yep.
So if you were the CEO of Natalia Me-gan Hair and Beauty, what else could you see yourself doing?
I honestly haven't thought that far, to be honest with you, because I put my all into this. That's a good question. What else could I do? I would do something that'll help people, because I would probably have like a shelter or something. I would do something in that aspect, just because of what brought me to my company. I definitely would do something in that realm, like have a shelter or have a program, have a nonprofit set up to help women, children, even men. So it'll be something in that area.
I love that. So what were you doing before you entered the beauty industry?
Before I entered the beauty industry, I worked at a hospital. I was an administrative assistant. I was working there. I knew that this is what I wanted. At the time, though, I was in a domestic violence relationship, so I really couldn't focus on developing the brand. I had to really focus on living, surviving. So with that said, I worked at a hospital for years, saved money, heavily invested in my 401k, and planned out and mapped out, first of all, getting out of that relationship. And then secondly, everything that was needed. I even had vendors, had started researching vendors and that sort of thing. And then went a total separate route, but ended up making my lip glosses myself in my kitchen. But I was in plan mode. And then once I was out of that and went through the cycle of healing, I was in action mode with the company.
How long were you in that abusive situation?
Ooh, too long. Years, literally years. It wasn't always abusive though. I'm trying to think, how many years was it where it was the abusive part? Too long.
Yeah.
It was more than 3.
Okay. What was your relationship with beauty at that time?
I wore makeup to cover up my bruises because I always had black eyes. I always had some marks on my neck. I always had a scratch or something on my face. I even had to use it in a décolleté area on my arms. So that was what makeup was for me. I went from loving it as an option to wearing it as a necessity. I couldn't leave my house without it.
Right. So in the process of building that brand, you were still working at the hospital.
I was.
In that relationship. So when did you decide to break free from that and then create the brand?
When he set my house on fire.
Girl, I need to hear this story.
I can laugh now. And sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. It depends, I guess, on the mood I'm in. But in looking back, I'm glad that happened. And this may sound crazy, but I know I would be dead if it didn't happen, because he would not have let me just leave. It wouldn't have been that easy. If it was, I would have left a long time ago. But when that fire happened, and the kids and I were able to get out, we got out through the window. That was my out. And even though we lost everything, what I've gained from that, post-fire, I have my company. I'm now remarried. We're healthy. We're happy. The kids are healthy, happy. They love my new husband. I had to go through that.
Yeah.
I had to. And I think that fire is really what saved my life.
Right. So that was like a breaking point at that
That
time.
was the breaking point, and that was the escape. And I prayed for it, though. It may sound, I didn't pray for fire, don't get me wrong. I prayed for God to get me out of there by any means necessary.
So what are some of the reasons? Because I honestly don't know. Well, I don't think I know a lot of people who are in abusive situations. So I think it's very easy for people to judge and be like, well, girl, why don't you just leave? Why don't you just do X, Y, and Z? But like, what are the reasons when you're in that situation that people like typically choose to kind of stay and like ride it out a little bit?
Fear. Honestly speaking, when you're in that situation, you've already been separated from your really close friends. You've already been separated from your family. You know, you don't go around as much. And when you do, you put on this facade like, oh, I'm fine. Everything's peachy cream. But just last night, you could have tried to kill yourself. Me, I tried to commit suicide 3 times. It didn't work. God had a bigger purpose for me. But the isolation part and the fear part, because it's not just you. Once someone is in your head like that, and depending on how bad it is, it may be your children. It may be threats against your mom, your grandma, your aunt, whoever. So you feel like you have to just stay and protect everyone, because if they'll do it to you, what's to stop them from going to your mom's house and hurting your mom, God forbid, shooting her or something, you know? So it's really more protecting your family. And then you're scared. You're scared as all outdoors. People say, just leave. When you're in that situation, it's not easy to just leave. Where can you go and hide that you won't be found? You would literally have to go underground.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm like speechless right now. I did watch another interview. It was like totally unrelated, but this lady, she's in business as well, but she went through an abusive relationship with her husband. And she mentioned that a lot of the times I think people had this idea that it's constantly happening, like do. But she was like, it would be like today, and then maybe it's a year later again, and then maybe it's like all things are good, then it's 3 months later. It's not like a constant situation. Was it yours like that as well?
That's how it started out. You know, it started out as a kind of shake. And from there, nothing. Next day, you know, you go out, get all these gifts, and it's like, I'm sorry, I apologize, I'll never do it again. From the shake, it went to a, not necessarily a choke, but like a choke hold kind of thing. That was months, like 8 or 9 months, maybe even more down the line, than nothing. But as it progressed, then it became more frequent. And then it just got to a point of no return. But that was over time. It wasn't just all at once. I hit you, and then every day I'm doing that now. It was a progression. And it was the apologies, and it was the I'll never do it again. It was the tears. It was the I don't know what's wrong. It was all of that. And then, but once they hit that point of no return, then it did become more frequently, every other day, every 2 days. And then at one point prior to the fire, it was every day, no matter what.
Wow. Looking back through that situation, as you've gone through like your healing journey, what has that situation taught you about yourself and like your resilience and what you're able to withstand?
That I'm a lot stronger than I ever thought I was, but also I ain't putting up with nothing because the signs were there. You know, it was just in the beginning stages, you're like, oh, he cares. Because it's like, well, where are you going? What time are you going to be back? And you're thinking, oh, it's crazy out here. Okay, he cares.
That was the possessiveness.
Yep. That was me overlooking it because it was there. It was just like, oh, okay, well, here's where I'm going. This is what time I'll be back. Because you do want people to know. It didn't dawn on me like, hold on, we just starting out. Why are you asking all these questions? That wasn't the case. So I'm a lot stronger than what I ever thought I was. I could deal with a lot, but at the same time, I'm not dealing with a lot anymore.
Right. When did you start or officially launch the brand? Was it before the fire or after the fire?
It was after. It was years after. It officially launched August 9th of 2018. So this past August, we've been in business 4 years now.
Yes, absolutely. That's a good thing.
Thank you.
So eventually, what was the inspiration for creating, like finally following through with your plan that you had set? Like you had a plan for exiting that was probably expedited by the fire.
It was.
Your plan for, launching the brand. So like, what was that like when you finally were able to do that?
It was a lot of different emotions. It really was. I cried like a baby. My husband thought something was wrong with me. He was like, "Babe, what's wrong?" I'm like, it's a lot because it was my past that brought me to my present. So at times it's like I relived the moments and building everything that I've built. Yeah. I put all of that anger and drive and passion into the brand. So it was, I can't even, like, words can't describe what I was feeling.
But you're not a makeup artist or a hair artist.
I'm not.
Okay.
No.
So you just love beauty. Yeah.
I just literally love beauty.
Nice. I love that. So what's the inspiration behind the name of the brand? Because it's not your name.
Right? It's not. It's my granddaughter's name, actually. Okay. My granddaughter's part Dominican. Her mom's Dominican, so she's half Dominican. And her Dominican name is Natalia. Her American name is Natalie. Oh. So I said, oh, I like that. And her middle name is Me-gan. So Natalia Me-gan.
I love that. Legacy building already.
Exactly.
You said that you were mixing up lip glosses and stuff in your kitchen. Is that what you launched with? What products did you launch with?
I launched on the hair side first. And those vendors I have been researching for years and finally found the vendors that I like. Okay. So I started that first. And then I was in the kitchen formulating, mixing, trying to finalize the glosses. Because one thing I don't do is put out a half tail product. If I'm not going to wear it, why would I expect anybody else to wear it? So, and I don't go out the house without something on my lip. Even if I'm going to the grocery store, I might not have my face beat, but I'm going to have a good lip on.
Yeah, that's me. I love it.
Through a lot of trial and error, I perfected it. And I remember I put it on Facebook and I had just like the bowl and I had my little setup and I had the basic tube. I didn't have a label. I didn't have anything. And I had just had a purple, a red, and a pink. And I put that, and it was 3 tubes, and I put it on Facebook. And they were like, well, how can I order it? And I had the pigmentation on my hand to kind of show. And I was like, well, I don't even have proper packaging. This was just like, hey, y'all, look, what do y'all think of this? And it took off. Took off.
Was this your first like entrepreneurial endeavor, or had you done like a business before?
This is my first.
Oh,
this is my first.
How did you learn how to formulate these products? You just in there.
Yeah, well, full transparency, my uncle is a chemist. But I took that and I'm a researcher. For anything that I do, I'm researching. I'm researching the market. I'm researching, like, I already know what 23 and 24 is going to look. I'm that person. So it was like, what's the best formula without the chemicals? Yeah. Because I don't want to chemically manufacture anything. And that's one thing and that's why it took so long. Yeah. Because I want to have the right pigment without the chemicals it takes for all of the pigment.
So you've actually been able to like go to the lab and like formulate things? I
have.
What does that look like? I've always been fascinated by that. But what does it look like when you're actually like in the lab? Is it like things just like laid out?
It is. Everything is laid out. You're in your full gear. Just think the mad scientist. And that's kind of accurate with that. because it's just like, okay, well, you have this section for this color, you have this area for this color, this area for this color, this area for this color, because you never want to cross sections because then it'll cross colors. So everywhere you go, like there's a part in the lab for every color. And then now, of course, we outsource because it's just bigger. Thank goodness. It's a lot bigger and we just couldn't keep up with those orders. So we outsource it, but it's still the same product. It's still what I created. It's just I'm no longer creating it.
Okay. What was your process for expanding? Because you have so many products now.
I know.
So how did you determine like what you were going to expand with and like getting those people on board, the vendors, or however you went about, you know, supplying your products?
Basically, again, I use me as the model. So the lip was, of course, and then I realized go back. I had hair and I had mink lashes. I expanded to the lip gloss first. Then I was like, well, you know, I like a good matte lip at times, but I don't like the drying matte. So I went through the process with the lab because now everything is done with the lab. At first it was outsourced, but now everything is done here in the US, thank goodness. And went through trial and error with that, perfected the matte. And then it was like, okay, now it's time to add lipstick. So I did everything in sections. I did the hair and the lashes. Then I focused on the lips. Then I said, well, you know what? Everyone doesn't wear lashes. So let me get a very good mascara. So I went back to the eye and I did the mascara and the eye palettes. And then from there, I did the highlight, the duo sticks, the highlighter and the concealer. And I have a blush set, and we're perfecting different liquid formulas now, as well as powders. So all of that is coming. It's just, when you do it this way, it's less stress. It's hard trying to do everything at one time. You lose your focus. It may not be the best of product because you're like, okay, do this, do this, do this, do this. So for me, I like structure. So I focus on one area at a time.
Was it difficult to find a lab that you were like satisfied with?
It was because I'm very particular. And, I wanted to initially, like I said, everything was, of course, overseas, but I wanted to bring everything back to the US because at the end of the day, when you do a cost comparison, it's really not that much different when you factor in shipping.
Right.
You can have $800,000, $900,000 in shipping fees alone. So why not incorporate that into the budget for a US product? And then the shipping is cheaper. So it's kind of balancing out. That's how I looked at it.
One thing that I always think about anytime I think about launching a brand or just coming up with products and stuff, I always think about how am I going to pay for this? Like, did you have funding or did you just like save up your money and then just do it out of pocket?
I did it out of pocket.
Wow.
I did it. Again, back when I was going through what I was going through, I was heavily investing because I had a plan and I didn't share it with anyone. It stayed with me. So a lot of stuff that I could have done, I didn't. I lived like the most basic life because I knew I had a goal to achieve and I didn't want to get a loan. I don't want to start a business on money because you never know which way your business will go. You always want it to be successful, but in reality, you really don't know. So why acquire unnecessary debt in the beginning when you could properly plan and save for everything? And that's what I did.
So at this point, if you think back, like what was the most difficult part of like starting the brand versus now with you running the brand? What are the two differences?
The most difficult in starting was actually getting everything together and finding the right vendors and finding the right labs and finding, I did everything on my own. And honestly, I just literally built a team out a year ago.
Okay.
I had been doing everything on my own because who knows the brand better than me? Don't make that. I tell everyone, don't make that mistake. You literally need a team. Don't do what I did. So that was the most difficult because I did it all. It was the packaging, getting the product together. It was the marketing. Like I literally held so many hats that at one point I was just like, you know what? I quit. Like I quit. I can't keep going like this.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting sleep. Meetings were like back to back to back. I'm in this state. I'm trying to tell the world what's going on. It was a lot. It was a lot in the startup. And if I could go back, I would do a lot different.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What was the process like for, I guess, transforming those traumatic experiences into a now like profitable brand?
I had to live in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the moments took me to dark places, but I had to go to those dark places in order to properly, and I don't want to say properly, because technically I didn't have to use my experience to build my brand, but I went to those dark places because in those places is where I got my best ideas, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And going through everything, I realized that my purpose wasn't just the cosmetics.
Yeah.
Let's be clear, it's a lot of cosmetic lines out there, but my purpose was bigger, and my purpose started the brand, but now it's time for me to really live in that purpose. The brand is now flourishing. Yeah. So now it's time for me to go back and help women, help teenagers, young adults. There's even guys in situations, help them see that this is what I went through, but look at me now, Yeah. So it's kind of pulling everything from that, putting it into the brand, because the brand was built on a purpose. It's not just like, oh, here's another cosmetic brand. That's not what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then moving forward from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Who would you say is your target audience for Natalia Me-gan?
That changed. Starting out, I was like, it's for everybody. And then, and that's how I marketed it. That's why I said I'll do a lot of things different.
Yeah.
But honestly speaking, while everyone enjoys makeup, I have two target audiences. So I have I hate the word senior citizen, but I have the 55 plus, and then I have the 30 to 50. So I have two target audiences.
The seasoned ladies.
Exactly.
Peppers out here.
Yes, because and talking to people and being interviewed and doing all of these things I'm doing now, they always said that they felt left out because people are always targeting the young adults, targeting the 20-year-olds, targeting them. And they're like, they have a broad, that's a broad range right there. Yeah. And once I did that, I was like, oh, it really is.
It's an untapped market for sure.
It is.
Especially with marketing, they do tend to market products towards, a certain age group.
Exactly. And I never paid attention to that until I had a conversation with a young woman. Well, she wasn't, but with a seasoned woman. And then I really started paying attention to the commercials and everything. And I was like, oh, wow.
What would you say one of your proudest moments is so far in business?
Just being where I am today in 4 years. I've accomplished a lot, and I didn't realize how much I accomplished until I did an event on Saturday and they read my bio and I was like, oh, wow. And that's how I was like, is this me? I was literally in tears.
Yeah.
Because when you're in it and you're moving and you're like, okay, I did this, now let me keep on because now I want to do this. Mm-hmm. But Saturday was like my wow. So for all of the accomplishments, if there's one that stands out, I think it would be, well, I can't really say one because even this year alone with the awards, I can't really say one because all of them are like, wow.
Was like top three?
Top three was appearing on TV, Chef JJ's show, was the She Is Monumental. I was the award recipient from Radio 1 and the whole Radio 1 family for She Is. And then I'm trying to think. The third one would be, you know what? I was one of top 30 entrepreneurial women to take heed from, to, follow. So those are the three.
Okay, I love that. And you've been in the press, like you've had some really good press for your brand. Any tips for I guess up and coming brands on how to get press?
You know what? That social media is powerful. I receive so many DMs and emails, and it's like, I follow you, I follow your story, and I'm like, really? Yeah. Like, really? Okay. So I would just say social media is your tool. I really had to revamp my social media because you can't, even though you have your business page and your personal page, people are going to go to both. So be careful what you put out there. And I didn't put anything bad or negative, but I was one that would joke on my personal page with memes and all kind of things. And then on my business page, it's like, hey, this is me, but I'm still the same person. So I had to learn that.
Yeah. How do you balance both? Like, because I know for me, I'm learning now because I'm in a like a brand rehab program. So I'm learning now about the personal brand versus the brand. So how do you balance both? Because I know for me, for a long time, it was like, I was a little bit nervous. I didn't know really what to share or how much I wanted to share of myself. But a large part of your story is like your domestic violence and everything like that. So how do you, is that like too much to keep on talking about it? Or how do you choose which parts of your life that you want to share?
It kind of, at times, it can be a lot. I will say that. But that's my story. And, I had no intention of ever sharing my story, ever. And I started during COVID. It was right during COVID. And I don't know, something I was reading online, and they were saying how domestic violence was at an all-time high, but at the time everyone's locked down. So what are you going to do? And then I remember one night, it was late too. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I made a post. First of all, who's up at 11 o'clock at night? But it was during COVID. People were all over the place. Everybody's time was off. And I remember the responses I received and the DMs, the messages. It was like, wow. And I literally, it was sort of a thankful post. Thankful, for what I went through to bring me to where I am today. And I didn't say too much, anything else. But the response from that, and it was like, okay. So again, I prayed on it. I was like, okay, God, is this what I'm supposed to do now? Because I wasn't, my family didn't even know. Wow. So they're finding out on social media.
Your family didn't know that you were in an abusive relationship?
No.
How did they not know?
They did not know because I played it off very well.
Oh my gosh.
And before I would ever go around the family, I would never have marks on me. So I played it off very well. Now, they may have suspected, they didn't hear it from me. Let me say that. They may have known, but it never came from my mouth. And so I said, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. And that's when I started sharing.
Right.
And even though I had gone past that, it's still opening up those wounds. Yeah. So at times it can be like, oh gosh, y'all want me to talk about this again? But that's what I'm supposed to do. Because me talking about it, these stories, if you could read the emails and the DMs I'm getting, it has me in tears at times. Just women telling me their stories, how they got out, some didn't. People's family members thanking me for doing what I'm doing because unfortunately their family member didn't survive. So that's what keeps me going. It's like, okay, get out there and do what you got to do.
So you didn't necessarily like launch the brand. I don't know how to say it. So you didn't necessarily launch the brand in like support of domestic violence or highlighting domestic violence. It kind of came later.
I didn't. When I launched, I knew what I was launching for, but I didn't put it out there that this is the newest cosmetic brand in support of I didn't, because I didn't want to tell my story. It was embarrassing, and then you have, even now, I have the opposing people. You should have just left. And if that was me, you could say what you would do until you are in that situation.
Right.
It's easy to say what you would do because you ain't never been in a situation. Get in a situation and then let me see you do it.
So now how do you merge the two? How do you speak out about, domestic violence and, with your brand?
So now, like I say, I'm very transparent now in telling people, you all see me today, you see, all of the positive stuff. But let me tell you what I went through to get to where I am today. And I'm not embarrassed to say it, and don't be ashamed of it if you're going through it or if you know someone is going through it, because at the end of the day, they can still get out of it and do whatever it is they want to do. Yeah. That's not the end all tell all unless, unfortunately, you can't get out. So that's one of the things that I speak on now. I'm working myself along with my girlfriend, Dana. We're doing the Underdog Tour. And we're just starting out. We're solidifying all of our tour dates because we both have powerful stories. Yeah. She's a playwright. She has did a purse line. So she has her own story so that, she has a major story to tell. I have a major story to tell. So we were like, let's come together and show people that we're just two powerhouse women now that struggled then. And my struggle, I was never in, I didn't come from the ghetto. I didn't come from any of that. I came from a 2-parent household. On the outside, it looked good, but behind closed doors, it was a different story. So that's not to say that you always have to come from a rough life and go through things. And that's another thing I want people to understand. I didn't come from a rough life, but I had a rough life.
Yeah. So, and I love the collaboration aspect too, because sometimes people just need to see that it's possible. I would imagine when you're in those situations like that, it just feels like it's never going to end, or you just don't see what it could look like for you to be on the other side of it. So I think it's really good for women to see, and men to see, somebody being successful and that you came out of that and you're still standing.
Exactly. And that's why we came together to collectively do this.
Yeah. And I also saw that your products are on Walmart.com.
Yes.
How did that happen? How do you do that?
And it happened during COVID.
That is great.
Yes, we launched on Walmart.com during COVID. It's funny because, again, this goes back to emails and everything. So when you see emails, well, for me, I'm one okay, this has to be, spam or someone's trying to hack or something, but it wasn't. It really was. They were interested in the product. So it was a lot. Let me be clear. It was a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of everything. But when we launched in April of 21. Yeah. It's been amazing. It's been amazing.
So would you count that as an additional revenue stream because it's on Walmart.com?
Yes.
I love that. Okay, so what is that like supplying them? Is it drop shipping in the sense that you have a warehouse that supplies it, or you have to supply Walmart with all the stuff?
We send the products to them and they have a warehouse where they keep all of their products. Now, they did offer a drop ship option, but because I'm so busy and even with the team, it just made sense to just ship it right to them and let them handle everything.
I remember my question.
Okay.
When you said team, I remember my question now.
Oh, okay. See?
I know people are so tired of hearing me say this, but I'm a one-woman show over here at Friends in Beauty. So I wanted to know, how did you determine who you needed on your team? Because that's where I am right now. With everything that I do, I'm trying to figure out what I feel comfortable with, delegating and releasing to somebody else.
It's two. I have two key figures. I have my assistant and I have my operations manager.
Okay.
Those are the two key figures. And then from there, you expand. We have a team of makeup artists. We have a team of hairstylists. I have the team at the lab. I have, a team that ships out. So that's it. But my two biggest, not to undermine anyone else, let me say that, my assistant and my operations manager must have. Yeah. I don't know how I was able to function without them.
How did you get comfortable with stepping back?
It's funny because if they tell it, I haven't stepped all the way back, but I'm just now stepping all the way back. I think it's getting to know the person. You feel something to hire them But once you're in it and you're around them constantly and the phone calls constantly, and in this business, it's so last minute at times. Literally, you could get a phone call today that they need you to travel somewhere tomorrow. Yeah. And it's like, oh, hey, and it could be 8:00 at night. So just having some, the right people around you to keep you where you need to go and make sure that when you get there, everything's already set up. It's amazing. But me stepping back, I've literally, what month is this? September? Mm-hmm. It was February when I really said, you know what, let your team handle everything. Yeah. Because I would have so many different places to be, and I'm trying to keep my own schedule. But why, when I have an assistant and an operation, like it just didn't make sense. Yeah. So it's gonna be hard because it's your baby.
Yes, it is, right? It is. What difference have you seen with your brand since hiring those people and stepping back a little bit?
I can do more hands-on with I can focus now on the product side of things, what we're releasing next. And I know that if someone needs a meeting, they have someone to reach out to. Yeah. If someone, my travel, I don't do any of that anymore. I literally don't have to do any of the day-to-day things. I have my meetings, of course, and I have all of that, but now my focus is on the product side of things and where do we want to go next? What's our next big thing? Yeah. I can focus there, and my team has everything else, and we meet every day. We have a phone call, and it's like, hey, check-in time. Mm-hmm. They'll give me the rundown for the day, and I'm like, oh, okay, got it. And it's already emailed to me. All I literally have to do is print my schedule, and that's
it. I love that. So we have to play a game of Never Have I Ever. Are you familiar with Never Have I Ever?
Yes.
We're not going to be drinking, not today. But I have a Never Have I Ever statement for you. If you've done it before, share the story or, quick story. Okay. If not, then share what product from Natalia M we can use to avoid this thing. Okay. So, never have I ever seen someone with lipstick on their teeth and didn't say anything to them. Have you ever done that before?
Hey, I know you're enjoying the episode, but I have something to tell you real quick. Did you know that I created a Patreon? Look, podcasting is fun. I absolutely love it, but it is not cheap. And there have been so many people who have reached out to me that want to support the show somehow and keep the good vibes flowing. So I thought, why not create a Patreon? For as little as $3 a month, you can support the Friends of Beauty podcast and join a community of other loyal supporters of the show, just like you, okay? There are other tier levels available that unlock tons of exclusive Patreon-only content like behind-the-scenes clips, bonus interview content, monthly calls with me, discounts, and so much more. But no matter what tier level you decide to choose, I appreciate you so much, and I'm going to give you a shout out on the podcast when you join. So if you'd like to be a part of the exclusive Patreon community for the Friends of Beauty podcast, I'll leave the link right here and down below in the show notes for you to join. And as always, I appreciate your support so, so much. Now, let's go ahead and jump back into the episode.
No, I'll always say something. That's a pet peeve of mine. I'm always let you know. Exactly.
What products from Natalia Me-gan do you have that we can avoid that even happening, or do you have a special technique that you know of to keep lipstick off of your teeth?
Well, honestly speaking, none of our lipsticks do that. Not our lip gloss, not our matte, and not our regular lipstick. That was one of the things that I had to look, because sometimes, especially with a matte, when you put it on, it's wet, so it can get on your Yep.
Okay, so it's formulated in that way.
Exactly. Thank goodness.
We have like those old tricks. People put their finger in their mouth or
and they'll blot. But with blotting, you have to be careful because people will actually rub their lip. You could blot too hard. Yeah. Now you have to put your lip back on.
I'm a makeup artist, so anytime I put lipstick on people, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, don't rub, please don't. And I'm not a makeup artist, but even I know
to rub your lips together, ma'am.
Exactly.
A little, yeah. So not to keep talking about domestic abuse, but I think it's so important for people to know. But like, what is like the biggest misconception that people have when it comes to domestic violence?
How easy it is. Like, first of all, it's two things: how easy it is to get out, and then if that was you, it would never happen because of who you are. Mm-hmm. It doesn't just, like I say, it's not a immediate thing. It's gradual. They get in your head first. Mm-hmm. Then from there, once they're in your head, they can do what they want to do. And a lot of, people can say, oh, it'll never be me. It could be you, because when women love, we love hard. Yeah. So it can be any of us at any given moment. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of men that deal with domestic abuse.
It is. And I did not realize that until I started telling my story. And these men, and like I say, I get messages all the time. But I'll never forget the first message I got from a man. I was like, and I was just reading a story and I was like, wow. But it took me back to me, because by me being in that for so long, I dealt with things argumentatively. Mm-hmm. And I had to check myself. I realized that because that's how I did things in the past, that became the present. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, wow. So reading the men's stories, I'm always amazed. Mm-hmm. And it's not amazing, like, wow, they're, it's just like, this sounds like me. The tables are just flipped.
I think more men need to speak out about it, but it's going to take that brave man to do it, because, the ego, the masculinity aspect of it, they probably don't want to talk about it. Like, how you
They don't. And it's not that they can't haul off and hit somebody, but that's not how they're, as a man, that would be all it takes, and they go straight to jail, even though the aggressor was the woman.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the men definitely, they have a story to tell.
Yeah. So how can people from the outside looking in, if they have a family member or a friend that's in an abusive situation, how can they support them without being too intrusive, without being judgmental and things like that?
Always be there for them. Just always be there, because it may be the middle of the night. It may be just a phone call. Let them tell you what's going on before you say, well, this is what you need to do. I did not want to hear what I need to do. Just let me talk. Just listen. Hold your reservation. Hold everything you're feeling, and honestly, just listen. And if I say, okay, I'm about to jump out this window, be on the other side, ready for me to run to the car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But definitely non-judgmental. Mm-hmm. That's it. Because when you're judgmental, no one is going to reach out. I didn't. Mm-hmm. And that's why I didn't reach out to my family, because I know my family. Number one, I didn't want them going to jail. But number two, I know they would have gone, how you let this happen?
Yeah.
Like, he had a gun to me. What you think I'm going to do?
Exactly.
Right
now. All right. So now, Schenika, with you operating in your new purpose now, your newfound purpose, what do you want your legacy to be?
If anything, I survived, I conquered, and I've helped. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I love that. Anything next coming up for you? Anything exciting?
I do. It's a lot coming up. It's a lot. We have the tour coming up next month. I'm dropping in a major magazine. Okay. I'm still in awe. Yeah, I can actually, it's a done deal. So I'll announce it here. I will be in Vogue.
What?
Yes.
Oh my God. Congratulations.
I know, I'm still in awe. So everything I'm doing right now is focusing and preparing for next month.
Oh my God. I'm an emotional person, so I'm literally
I know, right?
I'm tearing up right now.
Every time I think about it, first of all, when it happened, again, social media, this is why I'm telling you, social media is so important. Yeah. I received an email from them, and I was like, is this real? And then in talking, it was like, oh, okay, it is. And the email said, I've been following you and I've been following your story. I've been following your brand. This is what we're looking for. This is the campaign for this month. And it was just like, what?
That's amazing.
I'm like, when you know that I've had an allure editor reach out to me. So these are the types of people and I tell folks this all the time. You are in rooms that you don't even know you are in. So act like it.
I love that, because I know the importance of, sharing your story, but a lot of things people don't realize is when you start telling your story that things start to happen. Like people, It makes you more relatable. People see you for a human and not just like a brand. Exactly. And I absolutely love that, because it's so many people that go through tough situations in their lives, and they just do not see the end of the road. But like it's so unfortunate sometimes that you have to go through these things in order to have an impact the way that you have an impact and get to a certain. It's so weird. Life is weird like that,
isn't it?
Why did I have to go through this to get to here? But you just never know.
Never understand. And that was me. And I was asked this question before. Would I change anything about my past? And see, my past is more than the domestic violence portion. My answer, no. But I had to get to this point because for a long time, like I said, I tried to commit suicide 3 times. Didn't work. I'm still here. Now I see why I'm here. I had to get to the point where I had to realize that I went through every single thing, the good, the bad, the ugly, to get me to where I am today. And the person I am today will never, ever in life go through anything I went through in the past, because I wouldn't allow myself to go through that, because I'm not that person anymore.
Right.
So I understand now. I had to, and if I had to do it again, I would do it again to get to this point, to get to the Schenika I am today. I had to accept that.
Man, oh man, thank you so much for sharing so openly with us. Like, this has been amazing. Wow.
You're welcome.
I'm so excited for you. Before you go, I have to ask you the Friends in Beauty rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So whatever comes to your mind first, just let us have
say it out. Okay.
So what are the top 3 keys to your success so far?
Research, planning, and implementing.
Okay, the implementation part is going to get y'all. Okay.
Yep.
How do you measure your success?
I don't really measure my success in a sense. I really don't, because there's so many different things that can make you successful. If I'm honest, the brand is successful, but I still have a long ways to go. Got you.
What's the best advice you've ever received, or a piece of advice that's just always stuck with you throughout life?
What's worth it won't be easy.
Ain't that the truth? What advice would you give to another woman right now who's in a tough situation that you were in, who is just ready to give up and just clock out? What advice would you give her?
Don't give up, get a plan, put it in motion, and then go from there. But never give up. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. I'm a living testament to that.
Yes, you got this. What's a resource that helps you in your business that you can share with the Friends in Beauty community?
Again, I'm a Google person, so I'm always Googling trends, and I stay on top of that. I'm a Vogue subscriber, those kind of magazines. I'm always looking, even overseas. I don't just stay with the US. Go to London, go to, all of those overseas areas. Yes. See what's trending over there in beauty. See what the next thing is over there. And that's how I stay abreast. And that's what I would recommend anyone to do.
Okay. And the last one, I just want you to fill in the blank and just say, my name is blank, and the key to longevity and success is whatever you think it is.
Okay, my name is Schenika, and the key to longevity and success is to never give up. Keep going. The good, the bad, the other, all of that is going to happen, but just keep going.
Absolutely. Before you go, share your social media information or how you want people to connect with you and stay connected with what's going on with your business.
All right. Well, I am on IG, Facebook, and Twitter, and it's at Natalia M Beauty on all outlets. LinkedIn as well.
Thank you so much, Schenika.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Friends in Beauty podcast. Don't forget, sharing is caring. Share this episode with at least one friend in beauty, and subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts so that other friends in beauty can find this show. Plus, we'd love to hear your feedback. Connect with us on all social media platforms at Friends in Beauty, hashtag Friends in Beauty to join the conversation, and join our Friends in Beauty Facebook community to stay connected. Talk to you soon.